Welcome to Behind the Smoke, Barbecue War Stories. My name is Sean Walchef with Cali Comfort Barbecue. We are with Derek Marceau from Valley Farm Market, and we are at the Del Mar races with Dr. BBQ, Ray Lampe. Welcome to California.
Good to see you, boys. Good to be here. It's a little warm. I'm kind of fussing about that. I come out here expecting perfect weather. It's not exactly perfect.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to get a refund on my mortgage. It's
I think that's a reasonable request.
It's this last month. I think we talked about it last week. It's been so damn hot out here. I've been sweating so much. I got sweat on my under boob and just it's going nuts out here. But we're so appreciative to have you out here and taking the time to shoot the shit with us. And you don't get out here very often, so thanks for taking the time.
I'm always willing to. I love coming to California. It's just whatever fits in my schedule. I'm so lucky. I travel a lot, but it's so erratic in a good way. Wherever there is I need to go, that's where I go this week, and it's fun because I like going different places. I like going to Fargo as much as I like coming to San Diego. It's just different, and it's just fun there. You got to go with an open mind that Fargo is going to be cool, and it is. You don't go in the winter. You want to be smart about that.
I'm a firm believer. Fun is what you make it.
Yeah,
so when I went out to Kansas, I left San Diego to go to Kansas, and everyone's like, I can't believe you can go to Kansas and go to college. And I'm like, look, if I can't have fun in Kansas, I can't have fun anywhere. So we went out there and had some fun, and it's some of the best time I've ever had. Gone to Fargo, did some waterfowl hunting out in Fargo. I love.
Well, you just got to embrace it for what it is. It's not the same.
Sure.
You San Diego, you guys really like it here, and I don't blame you. It's really nice here. You have the things that you have. Right. You don't have deer hunting and waterfowl hunting and all the other stuff they have. I went there on a tailgate tour one time, because the bison, the North Dakota State bison, is a huge deal. They won like 3 Division II or whatever it is, national championships in football, and it's a huge deal up there. They're way into it, and it's fun, man. They tailgate like crazy.
Didn't Nick Foles come out?
Carson Wentz. No, Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He walks on water there.
I'm sure.
But, of course, they're also way into hockey, too. No surprise there. So, in San Diego, hockey, not a big thing. But, when you go there, you embrace what's happening, man. It's fun.
Full head.
For us, being out here at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, it's the Pacific Classic. It's $1 million horse race. It's a lot of moving parts for us to put on a Kansas City Barbecue Society contest. And, for us, we wouldn't be able to do it without U.S. Foods, without Big Green Egg, who stepped up, Santa Monica Seafood. There's so many moving parts to put these contests on. And for us, we're just honored that Big Green Egg cares enough to send you out while you're opening your first restaurant.
Well, yeah, in fairness to everybody, as much as I like you guys, Big Green Egg is why I'm here. I've been the company's spokes chef for 15 years.
Wow.
That's unheard of. We was just talking to Arlie before, and I invented the job, everybody gets hired by a grill company should send me a cut because I kind of talked them into it the first time. But luckily it's been a great fit, and I've been doing it forever. And so I work for corporate, and out here you've got the Sierra Select is the distributor for California. So if they call the corporate and say, hey, we'd like Ray to come out, I'm available to them. And it's just hard it's really more about a scheduling thing. I'm happy to come, of course, but again, I like to go wherever it may be. I'm going to Iowa. I went to Hartville, Ohio one time, which is the middle of nowhere, man, but it was fun. So I'm happy to come. Granted, San Diego is a nice attraction.
Sure.
My only problem is I got a big project going at home and I can't stay. I was like, okay, San Diego, I'll just hang the whole week, and I can't.
Well, we, having run Cali Comfort for 10 years and Derek, running his family butcher shop, we appreciate the fact of you being as busy as you are, taking the time to come out here. And exactly what you said, without, Jim Becker from Sierra Select and Hot Sauces and More, who's our local distributor, Brian Bushfield.
Dealer. That would be a dealer. The distributor is the guy that sells the eggs to him on our behalf. Yeah, it's a whole...
Correct.
I know,
but it's important.
But it is real.
It is important because that's how events grow. To do an egg fest, Brian's done 2 egg fests. This year was his second Egg Fest. Derek and I, we helped out with that. And, for us, it's so important to learn about the other side of barbecue business, the grill side.
The real business
absolutely,
of it, right?
The real business about it.
That was a transition for me because so many of us got involved. I got involved just like everybody else as a competition guy. I showed up early. It's funny, I was in Chicago. Problem is, my first rib cook-off was 1982. Weren't you guys even born then?
I was born in '83.
I was born in '82.
There you go. So, I mean, but my story's the same. It just became an obsessed hobby, which is how most of us got involved along the way. It just was before everybody else. But along the way, somehow my existing family business was trucking in Chicago, and it was just over. You know, all these little factories that were little by little going to China and going wherever, automation, whatever, you name it. I mean, it's not, you know, I don't have a chip on my shoulder about it. I'm the kind of guy that said, well, this is not going very well. I need to find something new to do. And barbecue was my hobby. And I thought, well, okay. But I was, the obvious thing to do, and a couple of my friends did it back then and do it now, was to open a restaurant. You know, oh my gosh, you know how to cook so good, you should open a restaurant. I was like, well, I don't know, man. It's a real challenge. I'm not a restaurant guy. Plus, I was rolling out of one business, and I had a pile of money. I was 43, though. I couldn't live forever on it.
Sure.
I knew if I opened a restaurant and it didn't work, then I was going to be in the same boat with no money.
You got to get.
And so I had to try to figure out how to come up with a plan that was going to make it a little more flexible. So I bought a big trailer and moved to Florida. I was like the original food truck guy in 2000, but that didn't work either. But at least I hadn't spent all my money, and I had the trailer at
minimal
least.
risk.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I always had this entrepreneur mentality. I've been self-employed since I was 18, and I always had this attitude that I was reinventing, or I was creating a new business. I wasn't sure what the end game was, what that business was going to look like. When I moved down there, my intention was I was going to sell barbecue in this trailer in the parking lot for 7-8 months of the year, and then travel for 4 and go to cook-offs and stuff. It sounded like a great plan, except doesn't really work. Snowbirds don't stay that long.
Right.
I didn't know that. I guess I should have looked into that, but I didn't know. I just thought they'd stay as long as I wanted them to. And they also don't like big sandwiches. That was a whole nother thing. But I learned too, like in the food truck business, it's a little different out here because they take a different approach to it depending where you are. In Florida, if it was raining, here comes the train, or what do we call it, the coaster?
The coaster.
Yeah.
Wave at
It
them.
is.
What's up, coaster? Surf line.
That's not a very loud one. That's not too bad.
That's it's actually a beautiful ride up the Pacific Coast.
Well, actually, when I was in the trucking business in Chicago, I delivered parts for trains. That's what I did. If you ever look at a map of a railroad, it all comes through. Kansas City and Chicago are the hubs of the whole country. And so they all had repair facilities in Chicago. So I worked for a company, I subcontracted to a company that made train parts, all gaskets and hinges and all kinds of little stuff. It was a smart business this guy made, and so I just ran around. I was like the Napa auto parts guy for trains.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great, except it just went away. You know, it wasn't there anymore. But anyway, the food truck thing, well, I think this is probably anywhere. If it rains, you ain't selling nothing today. Because why would I come to the to the food truck? I can go to a restaurant. You know, if it's cold, you're out of luck. If it's hot, you're out of luck. If it's you name it. If it's Thanksgiving week, forget it. If it's Sunday in the South, everybody goes to church and goes out to the restaurant. I couldn't sell a thing on Sunday, which surprised me. I thought that'd be okay. So anyway, I learned. I took a beating, and then but then some weeks would be good, but it was not a viable business. So
did you ever have any staff?
Yeah, I would have one girl work for me.
Yeah.
Depending on what I was doing. And because we would try and do a little catering, and I was doing everything I could, and it was okay. I mean, I was scratching out a living, but I pretty much was eating a lot of leftover barbecue for dinner. Well, it was in this position. I wasn't broke yet, but I knew the pile was going down, so I could eat those leftover ribs. Because ribs is always a sore spot because we know everybody in the barbecue business because they're expensive. You got those leftover, it hurts. So when I'd have to eat the ribs or the leftover pork every day, or I could go out and spend $20 for dinner, and then I was going to not have that $20 out of my pile. It was serious entrepreneur scratching it out stuff. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't regret it at all. It's what I do. I'm getting kind of old for that. I always joke, I've been self-employed for 40 some years. You have good decades and bad decades, but when you get 60, you can't have a bad decade. You got no more time for them.
But I think that's important for our listeners to hear, because we talked about it on our last podcast, but everyone wants this instant fame. Everyone wants this, look at me, I'm famous, I cook the best barbecue, and they don't indulge themselves in the process.
Right.
The process is what's fun about it. When you look back, even with me in sports, the best times I had playing football, I played professional football, I did everything. The best times I had was when I was learning. I was going through those hell weeks. I was doing those things in high school. That's the process, and that's what you have to live in that moment and trust that process. And don't worry. I mean, look, of course, we all want to get there. We all want to be the best, right? But trust that process and grind every day. Try to make yourself better every day. Tomorrow is going to be a better day than today, and just keep going.
Yeah, you earn it. It's a different world now, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm like that too. I always, and you got to make it up as you go along too.
Sure.
Right now it looks great. I mean, the story is now I kicked my boss in the nuts and told him I was going to Florida to sell barbecue, and that's not really how it was.
Right.
I didn't know what to do. I closed my grandfather's business that started in 1936.
Wow.
And I closed it in 2000, and it was the right move.
That's a tough decision.
But yeah,
that's a tough decision.
Luckily I had the nads to do it, because otherwise I would have bled out. Well, I mean, I had a nice life. I had a house in the suburbs. I had a cottage by the lake in Wisconsin. That's what you do if you live in Chicago. And I had a nice car, and I was living a nice life. And that wasn't going to be happening anymore. They realized it, and they were just going to start chopping. And the company that I contracted to had been bought out. And it was just,
Did you have any family pressure to keep it
No,
open?
luckily I did not. I don't have much family. All I had was my sister. She had nothing to do with it, didn't care. I took my word for what was happening. But luckily I didn't have that, and I didn't have a family to support either. I could move to Florida and try this crazy adventure. If I'd had a wife and kids, I don't know what I'd have done. I could have kept it alive somehow, but my income, first thing to do is sell the summer home, because that wasn't going to be happening. And I like to think, I think I would have bled out.
Yeah.
I'd have stayed, and all of a sudden I'd have been way in debt, and I'd have been out of luck, and I wouldn't have had the pile of money to move on to the next adventure. But again, it all looks really smart now. I think
everybody told you were crazy when you did it.
Oh my God, yes! I grew up in a neighborhood. All my friends were my friends from my whole life, and we all went to work for your father's business or a local business, and you didn't venture very far off of that. So 43 years old. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm moving to Florida, and I'm going to sell barbecue in the parking lot. That was not. They thought I was in nuts. They really did. They were like, this guy's off his rocker. I don't know what he's thinking. But luckily, like I said, now I look like a genius. It's really just, I look back at it and think, you go through life, and you come to a lot of forks in the road, and you use your best judgment to make that decision, and you hope it's a good one. And when you look back I'm 61 now, you look back from 61, I made a lot of good calls, and not that I was so smart or anything. I just picked the right path a lot of times. And
did you pick the right path, or did you go with your feel?
Well,
was it a
definitely.
Gut? Because I think a lot of people second guess themselves, and it's okay. I think a lot of my best decisions I've ever done is I just felt that decision was right, and I had to go with what I was feeling.
Yeah, well, hopefully you're making that from a position of strength where you have learned. It's your life experiences. The things I get to do now, or the things I do now in business, I couldn't have done 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because I didn't have that life experience. I thought I could, but I didn't, so just life in general. I've seen a lot of things. There ain't much I haven't seen at this point.
Sure.
So when something comes in front of me, I'm familiar with this situation. And like I told you guys, I got caught up with a bullshitter on the radio. It's okay to swear, right?
Oh, yeah. It's behind the smoke. You swear as much as you need.
Doing this radio show in Tampa, I got sucked into it because we were going to make a bunch of money doing it. And 2 weeks in, there was no money. And the radio station, because I'm a pretty high-profile guy, and I'm doing it with a guy down there that played in the NFL and has been a radio guy for years. And they were like, well, you're not quitting. So you guys are just going to have to work for free for a while till we sort this out. And we basically have never sorted it out, so everybody's still working for free. But they're real good about letting us promote whatever we're doing. And it's hard because it's a good platform. It's the #1 station in the Tampa market, and it's a big deal. We do a food talk show, so it's kind of hard to say no to it. But I'm used to getting paid for stuff at this point in my life.
Right. Now with competition barbecue, is that something you kind of picked up out in Florida, or were you doing that well before you went down to Florida?
No, man, that's what started in 1982.
Oh yeah,
I moved to Florida in like 2000.
Was that the
so that was
Dave Raymond?
Dave Raymond.
Yeah, Dave.
So Dave
was there the same day. Dave and I started the same day. I was just telling somebody, it was right. I saw Dave actually at the Ace show. It was at this park in Grant Park in Chicago. There's like these ball fields, and there's this sunken one. For whatever reason, it's kind of sunk down. And that's where they had the original Mike Royko Rib Fest. Mike Royko was the columnist in Chicago in the paper, and I was there, and Dave was there as well. And a guy named Charlie Robinson that still has a big successful barbecue business in Chicago, actually won that day. And Dave and his brother Larry, I don't think they won that first year. I think the second year they came in second. They never won. They came in like second. I never won anything, but I had a good time and got hooked on it, honestly. But I never knew Dave. But Dave Raymond and I, our barbecue careers started the exact same day in the same place. I know.
That's so funny. Yeah, because we had Dave Raymond and Deuce Raymond both on the podcast when we were in Fort Worth for NBBQA, and they talked about that exact contest. And it's funny to look back, and we're so blessed to know Arlie Bragg and to know Gene Goycochea, who have brought us into the barbecue world. But
those guys
to
both been around a long time.
Gene's brought my wife and I to Kansas City, where we went and met Carolyn Wells, where the original insurance office is, and we actually got to see the new headquarters too. So it was before they moved. I
haven't even been to the new headquarters.
New headquarters, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it's really, really cool. But tell us. Talk to us about the growth of Kansas City Barbecue Society, kind of back when you started way back in the day, with Gene Goycochea and all the originals, and what you've seen happen over the last couple decades.
I'm KCBS member number 943.
Wow.
So under 1,000, and now I think they're like 6 figures.
Yeah.
And the thing I was talking about, the Mike Royko Rib Fest, we did that for 9 or 10 years. And in 1991, they said, think about what I'm saying, though. You always got to remember, we didn't have computers. You had to look in the newspaper. And when
newspaper, what's that?
Or call them and say, would you send me an application? They mailed you an application. That's how we get in on the Jack Daniels. You guys are all... The Jack Daniels barbecue cook-off is such a big deal now. Back then, they would mail you a letter, and you would hope it would show up. And as soon as you got it, you had to send it right back in, because that's how they did it.
Right.
Wow. It was very different then. But so they decided to quit having that, and I didn't know what to do. And in the Chicago paper, I saw a little blurb that a guy was having the first ever Kansas City Barbecue Society contest in West Chicago, which is this close suburb. And I was like, well, okay, I'll sign up for that. I didn't know what it was about, really. And again, there's no internet. You could call Carolyn. And that's probably what I did. And
she probably answered, too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we talked to, and Gary was there. Gary, her husband, Gary was a good friend of mine. That's going back pretty far. And so I went to that thing, and I didn't know that I didn't know you were supposed to cook everything. So back then, it was a sanctioned KCBS contest. The category was poultry. I cooked a turkey.
Turkey?
Yes. And I came in third.
Cooked some pheasant.
You could have. It would have been legal. I cooked a turkey, and I didn't know what else. I didn't know I was supposed to cook all this other stuff. Right. And I cooked a turkey, and I came in third place.
So that was it? Turkey?
Yeah, that's all I did.
Straight
I went
turkey.
there. I had one of them. Kingsford was branding those oval grills. It was kind of like a Weber kettle, but it's oval.
Okay.
They used to use them up in Seattle a lot. Bob Lyon was involved with them guys somehow. But anyway... that's what I had, and I cooked the turkey, and I still have pictures of it. I had a mullet, too. I had a kick-ass mullet.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was wearing a wife beater shirt, and I got a third-place trophy. And it was like, wow, that was game-changing for me. Because at that point, it was a hobby. We'd go out there, we'd drink a bunch of beer, and it was fun. All of a sudden, I had a trophy. I was like, wait a minute. This is now getting serious now. And I've been a KCBS member ever since.
How many competitors in that?
Probably around 20.
So it wasn't fairly decent.
Yeah, back then, you think about that rule. The rule is 50 teams to be a qualifier for the postseason stuff. Back when they first made that rule, that was a pretty big accomplishment.
Sure.
There wasn't only a half dozen contests around the country that had 50 people. It was different. So anyway, the category, I cooked a turkey. The other category was pork. And it was sort of up to the organizer to do what they wanted. And Jim Burns was the guy that organized that contest. He had a restaurant there. And he liked to cook bone-in pork loins. So he didn't have to cook a whole one. But you had to cook, a bone-in pork loin. That was the thing.
Like a roast or a chop?
Well, he would cook the whole... No, he couldn't cut it in chops. I tried to do that once. They told me. But it was just Jim's call. KCBS didn't really have rules like that. The scoring was all done on paper, and what they did back then, now they have all these factors, so that taste is a lot more than appearance. Appearance is the lowest, texture is the middle, and then taste is the most. And there are these complicated factors to give us some points, and that way it'd be a tiebreaker. Back then, they simply doubled the taste points, so it was still the same deal, and it all comes out the same because you actually would write down 27 points. Right, 9 per category. Sure. 9 for taste, 9 for appearance, 9 for texture, and you get a 36. so one gets double. That's where that comes from. So when they decided to institute the factors, they said, well, we still want to end up at 36. So if you add all them factors up, it's the same as doubling just the taste points.
Okay.
I mean, it just, I go back so far to stuff. It was just new. It really wasn't, they were making it up as we were going along. Like I said, Gary Wells in Gary's insurance office. Later on, KCBS bought the building, but in the beginning, it was Gary's insurance office, and he let Carolyn have a room to run the KCBS out of. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
The deal goes that the original plan was done in a bar somewhere, which is very believable.
Oh, that's totally believable.
Oh yeah, it's So yeah, I mean, I go way back to the beginning of that stuff. I always say I'm one of the original guys. I'm really not. There was 900 people before me, but boy, I wonder how many of them are left.
Yeah, I can't imagine a lot of them are even still involved. I haven't heard anybody with being that low of a number.
You know where you see them go in the judging tent at the Jack?
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
a piker, man. There's well, Carolyn, I think, is number 1.
Yeah.
And if Ed Royth is around, he's like number 3. Jim Tabb, I think, is number 10. I mean, there's a bunch of them. They're getting kind of old, though, man.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually heard you on Kevin's barbecue joint. He actually was supposed to come down this weekend, but he had to go to the hospital. Hope he's going to be all right, hopefully he makes it down. But I heard you say that your number was number 900, and I was like, Gene, what's your number? And he said he checked, it's 1200. So,
is it?
Yeah.
I thought Gene might be, because Gene was coming around right about the same time I was.
Yeah.
And Gene was also in the trucking business as well. So,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, California, Illinois, I mean, for years we had one contest in Illinois. The contests were all in Kansas City and
was
Missouri.
it Southern Illinois?
No,
West Chicago?
Yeah, it was in West Chicago, and then it moved to Shannon, where Mike Lake, who later was KCBS president, Mike was out in Shannon, Illinois, which is the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally, you drive to a town, and then you drive another 20 miles to this little town, and that's where we would have it. So that one moved on. He had it for a long time. He carried it on, but then little by little, then there was finally one down in Carbondale in Southern
17th
Illinois.
Street.
I don't know if Mike was involved. I don't know who did it.
No, actually, he wasn't, and then I think they took it over.
I think you're right.
Well, they have a contest there now, but I don't know that it's related. I mean, it's a lot of, you go way back, man, a lot of stuff has come and gone, because where a city, there might have been a contest that went away, and now they're everywhere. I mean, there's 400 or 500 KCBS contests. Back then. It was so different. There just wasn't that many.
And it's worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the United States anymore. People are having them all over the place. And, we get listeners from all over the world, like in Norway and different places. And
Australia, Canada.
They talk about it all the time, how barbecue is just growing.
Yeah,
and it's it's growing, but it's something our ancestors did. I mean,
correct.
Fire and wood and cooking. I mean, this is pretty cool,
Well, they all have, every culture has wood and fire and meat. But what they don't have is American barbecue, and then whatever this bastard child that competition barbecue became. That's a whole nother conversation.
Sure.
But they've adopted it, and I spend a lot of time. Well, not a lot of time. I go to England every year for barbecue contests, and I helped them run this one. It was very different though, because I was not a believer of KCBS in Europe, and I'm still not. Frankly, I still think. They just cook different. They eat different. They don't like sweet, gooey stuff like that.
Right.
And that's what the guys all cook. They all started importing Blues Hog. I did the first ever competition cooking class in England. And we it was a great story. We had Creekstone Farms, who are a great brisket company.
Yeah.
So I was working with them at the time. I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of these people over the years.
Are they still in Kansas?
Yeah. In some capacity or another. So I said, well, listen, they can't get any briskets. The briskets were like this. It looked like a flat fish. It was just this big skinny thing, and they would roll them up. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I said,
were they off Charolais? What cattle are they using?
I don't know.
I bet you they're Charolais.
It's definitely a different cattle. Yeah. I mean, they're not what we're using.
Right.
And so I told her, I said, Christine over there, I said, listen, there's a big market there because these guys are getting into it and they want big Western briskets. And so she said, okay, well, I'll ship 30 of them over there for you. They came from like their Monaco or something.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where the distributor was.
Out of Monaco.
And they come to this little town in England where I'm going to do this thing. It's a Masonic lodge, like a 400-year-old Masonic lodge. I'm doing this cooking class. And they're in the fridge, and we're all good. And I go to get them, and the guys in Monaco screwed up and shipped us eye of round
Oh,
instead of brisket. Oh, I know.
Oh,
So we had
wow.
this big fridge full of eye of rounds
No way.
that were useless to us. So
There's
then we had to go find briskets everywhere we could, and we again we had these big flat fish looking briskets.
If you guys don't know what eye around is, it comes off the bottom round. It's a little piece that actually looks like a tenderloin, but it's a weight bearing muscle, and it's very, very tough. And to break it down takes a really, really long time. There's not a lot of fat in it, so it gets really dry. There's not a lot of use for eye around besides
Braising
and beef jerky. I mean, you can do
tacos,
some
yeah.
beef jerky with it, and it turns out good. But eye around is kind of a rough piece of meat to use.
Yes,
Wow.
and it's nothing like a brisket. I mean, it
Oh,
just
no,
had
God, no.
no relation to accomplish anything. So,
But,
but I did bring Blues Hog, and I think I smuggled in like Imperial margarine and all those things, and showed a bunch of them guys. There's some pictures of me like with that stuff, and I mean, they thought we were insane because Brits are like, this is what bothers me. We all, the barbecue world, we want to be foodies. We want to proclaim that we are superior with our attitude towards food, and yet we put plastic margarine on our brisket just because I can win a trophy with it.
Yeah.
I actually saw Danielle. She'll be mad at me, but I just saw Danielle tweeting about that she used organic agave and some kind of fancy butter and sriracha and peach nectar. I was like, it's really the same thing. It's just the same recipe. You just traded the apple juice for peach nectar and some agave for the honey.
Yeah, you
I thought it was pretty kind of
change
funny.
sugar for sugar. It's still going to do the same
But
concept.
I'll tell you what happened was that there's a couple teams over there that started doing exactly the things we were doing, and they started winning, which was weird to me because there were British judges. They just don't. I mean, a bunch of gooey sweet on protein just doesn't make sense to them.
Right.
But I think they were influenced by this was the footprint. This is what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, which is a bullshit standard that we somehow created. And I blame the judges and the cooks who just wanted to suck up to them. There was never a meeting at KCBS to say this is going to be the new standard. Chicken. Have you guys ever cooked anything in a contest except thighs? We used to cook whole chicken.
Yeah.
We used to cook. I won a lot of trophies cooking legs.
Yeah.
I got a Jack Daniel's jug. I won cooking drumsticks in 1998. But then everybody started cooking thighs, which was smart, but it became the thing. And then the judges started to understand it. And to this day, I think if you turn in drumsticks, I hear are making a bit of a comeback. But if you turned in a chicken cut into parts, which we used to do, the judges would think, wow, this guy clearly doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
He's 6. Even if it was really good.
Yeah.
And we've created these standards. We used to cook back ribs sometimes. That was not we did the money muscle. What the hell is that all about? Well, who dreamt that up?
Right.
Tell me a barbecue restaurant where you can get that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you've done pretty much almost everything in barbecue. You started doing competitions, having fun, became extremely good at it, won competitions, winning the circuit. Now you're going into the restaurant. What can we expect from this restaurant?
yeah, it's really a lot of thought has gone into it. I was approached by a couple, Roger and Suzanne Perry, who have a couple nice restaurants in Tampa, funky gastro-pubby kind of restaurants, and the other one's a New Orleans themed restaurant, and they just they do it. It's a second career for them, and they just enjoy it. And their son is at Texas A&M, and they were there eating barbecue a lot, and they said, well, why don't we open a barbecue restaurant? And I knew them, and they said, well, let's call Ray, though, because they had opened a New Orleans themed restaurant and didn't get a guy from New Orleans, and they got called on it by everybody, even though their people knew what they were doing.
Right.
So they needed that authenticity, and certainly in a barbecue restaurant, you didn't run into the same problem.
Sure.
So they called me, but I was like, yeah, with you, I would do this. I wasn't looking to get into restaurant biz. It's hard work, man. It's a different thing. It's so risky if you don't
Low margin.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, it's so
You got to be
risky.
crazy to get in the restaurant business.
Yeah, I think so. But they're past
Crazy like me.
yeah, like I said, I wasn't looking to do it. But anyway, with them, I jumped in because they know how to do all the stuff that I don't know how to do.
Sure.
And they will manage the thing. So I was like, yeah, hey, what the heck? I'm in on this. So we couldn't just, well, we went through it in the beginning. These people didn't have any interest in opening a little walk-up barbecue restaurant. You know, they want to do something special.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, that sounds good to me too. I get the question a lot from people that don't understand, what style of barbecue are you going to serve? Man, I precede all of that nonsense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Before everybody decided there was 4 kinds of barbecue, I was already doing it. And I've traveled and eaten in all these restaurants. And even I wrote a book called Barbecue Road Trip, which actually, it was like in 2005. I just got an email from the publicist from that publisher. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. He said, Ray, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is going to feature your book
nice.
in this upcoming
there
season.
You go.
Wow.
Apparently, one of the restaurants that I covered in that book is somehow being featured on the show. They're making the guy over, and somehow my book gets thrown into it.
There you go.
Which is fun, yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, even back then, I did Kansas City, Memphis, Texas, North Carolina, and then I did north, south, east, west, because there were so many other places. It didn't make sense. I mean, you know, California, one of the things I was going to say before was like Gene and the Groundbreaker guys on the West Coast. I could drive to Kansas City for the contest. It was a 7-hour ride.
Right.
For the guys from out here. I mean, you'd see them show up at the American Royal. They've been driving for days,
yeah.
you know? I mean, it was
Yep.
impossible. What was I saying now? Now I'm losing. Oh,
No, just about
the types of
the style of barbecue.
style
Yeah,
of
it's
barbecue that
ridiculous.
people
So, but
ask
Roger
you.
and Suzanne were open to that. They understood that. That if we're going to do it with me, we have to have 100% authenticity. I can't, you know what's going to happen. I mean, you guys know how many times a day does a barbecue expert come in that doesn't know what he's talking about? Well, imagine how many I'm going to be saying.
Yeah,
I mean, they're coming to get me.
They're coming
Right.
to get you.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean,
Keyboard warriors are coming.
Oh, yeah. And I have an
Yelp,
office
Google, all of
right
that.
by and you come in the door. The meat cutter's right there, and if you went to the right, I'm right there in the office with a glass door.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I think it's more like an enclosure. Like at the zoo.
Don't
Right?
feed the bears.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. I mean, that's what I love to do, so I can't wait. So anyway, the pressure's on. So then they go hire a guy named Lee Jasper. They kept going to Kreitz Market. Kreitz Market, the 100-plus-year-old restaurant in Lockhart, has one outpost. I didn't even know this, in Bryan, I think it is, or San Marcos, down there kind of by Texas A&M. And they kept meeting this young guy cooking the barbecue, and his wife ran the place, and they were nice. And the guy had trained with Roy Perez at Kreitz, and he was a young guy, a good, a solid pitmaster. So they're like, you guys want to move to Florida? And they were, little by little, they chipped away at him, and they decided to come and move there. So, this is how we start. Okay, we'll hire this guy from Kreitz Market. Well, that's a pretty good start,
Sure.
And his wife. And on and on and on. Everything we've gotten to do has been right. But we need to make a special restaurant. So what we've really embraced is we've gone around the country to a lot of restaurants, and we're seeing a lot of people are embracing world flavors, to
Yep.
say it in a
Absolutely.
very bourgeois way. There's a place in San Francisco, they're going to open a bunch of them, called International Smoke.
Actually, there's going to be one opening right here in Del Mar
Is
next
there?
year.
Okay,
Yeah,
I haven't
hopefully,
been.
hopefully they'll be part of this contest.
Yeah,
They'll
it'd be
out
great.
here. But yeah, International Smoke, Aisha Curry.
Right,
Steph
Aisha Curry and
Curry's
Michael
wife.
Mina, who's
Yep.
a mega chef, restaurant empire kind of guy.
Huge.
So I mean, and if you look at their menu, I haven't been, but Suzanne went, my partner. But if you look at their menu, they cut right. I mean, they didn't even mess around. It's like a whole bunch of international dishes,
Cool.
and barbecue and all kind of. I mean, it's over the top mixed together. We're gonna have, down the middle of the menu, there's gonna be brisket cooked by that Texas guy, and a pork butt, and some spare ribs, and we got a cool wood-fired rotisserie for the chickens, and there's gonna be some pretty standard barbecue. But then, like potato salad, we couldn't just make some mashy picnic potato salad. We got some purple ass cool looking potatoes.
It's got to look sexy on Instagram. Come on now.
Man, it sure does. That's right. It's so important.
You know it.
But I understand that. I'm totally all in on that. But it's also got to taste good and
Sure.
have some. We can't just. I used to work. So I worked for Justin Timberlake's restaurant in Manhattan, and Justin's from Memphis, and,
Right.
and a legit. It was a legit situation. Except it was all New York guys running it. So I would go there for a week or two, about once a month, and I come back, and I'd have to fix everything that they changed, And so one day I come back, and they have Memphis-style turkey sliders. I said, now what the hell? Where did those come from?
Right.
Who's been to Memphis and saw those?
Right.
Well, we thought it sounded cool. I was like, that's just some bullshit. You can't do that. So I talked to Boston and let me take the chef and the manager to Memphis, and
There you go.
we went and we ate around town, that's what you need to do. You need to understand it. And so I went to Cozy Corner. You ever go to Cozy Corner?
No.
It's a funky place in the hood, and there's a Miss Desiree's. It's like 70-year-old lady with her 9mm clock under her coat. It's a great place, and so I've known her for years. So she's sitting having lunch with us, and these guys are eating it up. And I said, Miss Desiree, how come you don't have Memphis-style turkey sliders on your menu? And she said, well, what's that? I don't know what that is. And I said, well, these guys made it up. Said, well, it sounds kind of good. Maybe I'll put it on. And the other stuff was like things like, biscuits. Why would you serve that? In New York, it was like these guys anyway. It's a little different now. It's matured quite a bit. Biscuits had to be on every barbecue menu. I was like, why biscuits? Well, biscuits go with barbecue. I was like, not really. They don't. Yeah. So I said, Miss Desiree, how come you don't have any biscuits? She said, why would I have biscuits? This is a barbecue restaurant. I said, what about greens? She goes, I like greens, but I don't necessarily eat them with my barbecue. Right. There's this big mishmash of barbecue and Southern food and soul food. And granted, a lot of it's pretty similar and there's a whole lot of crossover, but we can't do stuff like that with my name on it because I just been around forever and I know the real stuff.
No, absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, one of my many jobs is barbecue historian, man.
Yeah,
I
sure.
really lived all this. So it's kind of good. We got chefs and we got Lee, the hot young pitmaster guy, and we got me keeping them all in the lane. But then we got the boss saying, well, this cauliflower with a bunch of curry on it looks pretty good. We could throw that in the smoker. And, so we've had a really good mashup of that. We're going to have and we also, on top of it, we're in pretty much of a hardcore vegetarian neighborhood if we didn't have enough issues. But,
right.
So we're going to serve pretty much everything, I think, is the real answer.
So what's the name of it going to be?
Dr. BBQ.
Dr. BBQ.
We talked about different things. I have the trademarks for everything for Dr. BBQ, and we talked about, should we name it something different, featuring Dr. BBQ or something like that? And we really arrived at Dr. BBQ with an S. Dr. BBQ's was going to be the restaurant. And that's actually the website for the restaurant, and Dr. BBQ would be me. But that got confusing like an hour later. So we decided not to do that. But really, for me, this is my play in the restaurant business.
Sure.
I haven't really done it before. We're going to do it once. I'm not. If God forbid something doesn't work out that well, I'm not going to open another restaurant. I'm sure not going to call it Dr. BBQ.
Right.
Right. So it's the perfect storm for me at this point in my life. If I was young, I might feel differently. Maybe I would have a different thing I would want to do later. For me, this is the one, and I'm all in on it. So it's kind of perfect.
When did you become Dr. BBQ?
In 1993, I think it was. I was really getting into it. So I started going to these KCBS contests, and I was driving to Kansas City on a regular basis, and there was one in Iowa. And so I bought a van, an Astro van, to haul my stuff around. And back then, Illinois just started allowing vanity license plates. We always knew California people had them forever. We could get 3 letters, and then finally they opened it up. So I was like, okay, I got to get a cool license plate for my van. But you got to remember, back then I sent in a postcard with 3 choices on there because you didn't have a computer. So I sent in a postcard with my 3 choices, and I'm not even really sure if Dr. BBQ was my first choice. I think it was like Barbecue Guy, Mr. Barbecue, whatever. I don't even know. I really don't remember. And they sent the Dr. BBQ license plate, and I stuck it on my van. And that really is
that was it.
That's the start of it. Yeah.
Well, you became a brand, and you were promoting yourself before anyone else was doing it.
Well, yeah. Along the way, I figured out that this
actually works.
That ended up being a good movie.
Sure.
A good move. But you know what? I think a good part of it, I hope part of my success is the authenticity. I could sit here and tell you all these stories because they're just real. That's what happened. I don't have to somehow craft some kind of story.
Right.
Well, that's how you write. That's how you write 10 books.
Only 9.
You can't only 9.
Yeah, only
coming
9.
up on 10 though, right?
You're
thinking about it?
Yeah, I will. I'll do it for sure. It's just a different business. That business has come a long way. You hang around long enough, this stuff changes, man. It's not the same, and you're an old guy. You got to figure out how to stay in the new wave of things. It's tricky sometimes. I mean, KCBS, you talk about the way it's changed so much. It's I've seen a long road of change of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just hearing these stories, it's just reiterates how much it's the journey that people fall in love with. It's really just being out there, experiencing it. The reason people will gravitate towards you is because you've lived it, you've done it, and there's no way to warp to get there. You just have to go do it. You just have to be out there, like you said earlier.
Right.
There's no fast track. You know what you need to do? You need to go get a cooker and a brisket. and do it, right?
I believe I said, if you want to be a famous barbecue person, you start by buying a cooker.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
There you go.
I mean, it's so true. Like you said, it's the instant gratification world. I've done well with Facebook and Twitter and then comes, I've done my website. I bought drbbbq.com way back in the day. I don't know. It didn't seem like that big of a deal at the time, but I'm sure glad I did, because someone else would have bought it. And now we have Instagram, which I understand. I believe it's the big deal now. It certainly is. It's just different. And, as an old guy, it's like you got to learn some new tricks again, man. But it's okay. I'm always the oldest guy in the room at this point in my life, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Right. Well, I live in Florida, so I'm not always the oldest guy in the room. But in business, I certainly am.
Sure.
But, speaking of that, what you're saying is, this is what I tell people. You want to get in the barbecue thing, how do I do this? What do I do? Here's what you got to remember. It's business. It's not, your barbecue is not that good that you can not do all the other stuff right. It's fine. I refuse to taste people's barbecue sauces anymore. It's a no-win situation. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a no bullshit Chicago truck driver. I mean,
we get along best with people that don't bullshit. That's why Gene and I. That's why Gene's become family. And my wife, she's an Eastern European. She actually just got here with my son, and she's the first person that'll tell you exactly what she thinks, even if you don't like what comes out of her mouth.
Yeah, I once heard Charles Barkley say, if you're talking to my mom, if you don't want to hear the answer, don't ask her the question. And that's kind of how I live my life, and I'm happy to be like that. But so people give me their barbecue sauce. Unfortunately, the only answer they want to hear is, holy shit, that's the best sauce ever. Everybody else should just go out of business because you are golden, dude. Right? And I'll represent you for free for a cut of your business. I mean, other than that, they're crushed. And usually I say something like, well, it's kind of got too much heat for me or something like that, and they're just crushed at that point. So because all their friends have told them it's the best shit ever, and they should go into business.
Yeah, and it goes back to those. I mean, the instant gratification, and we live in a world of extremes. It either has to be the best, like this is the best day ever, this is the best everything, or it's the worst. And it's like, look, don't ask the question if you don't want the fucking answer, because it's okay to.
Well, they already know. They think they know the answer.
Right.
They don't want to hear the what you're going to say. But really, sometimes I tell people, I don't have to taste it. I guarantee it's good enough. If you do, because you wouldn't have got it in a bottle, and everybody wouldn't have told you it's good if it wasn't pretty good. Right. If you do everything else right, first of all, get you a budget for marketing. You realize all the other things you got to do. If you get it in a store, you got to go there and demo every day.
It's a grind.
Yeah,
it's a grind.
Yeah, but if you don't do all that, you're never going to make it. And frankly, Casey Masterpiece, Dr. Rich Davis used to be out there cooking on the KCBS world.
Absolutely.
When I knew him, and it was just, that's not going to happen again, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's a different world. Business is done differently now. Yeah. It's just, and even if it does, okay, one out of all 500,000 of you idiots is going to be the guy. The rest of you are, it's not going to happen. But if you do build, I know people that have been successful with their sauces, but they did all the hard work. It's not just because it's so good. Right. It's not going to happen.
Dave Raymond, Sweet Baby Ray's, he told us, he actually talked Mark Lampert out of getting into the sauce business. He saw him at a conference, and Dave is like, hey, don't go into the sauce business, because unless you want to do all the stuff that isn't sexy, selling that sauce, that's the stuff that's going to make you successful.
And again, I'm not sure you could even get away with it now. There's so many. It used to be, I sold rub in the early 90s, and it was actually a private label thing. It was I didn't know any better. They had all these private label rubs. They didn't actually, this company didn't sell to anybody. I could put my label on. I could buy at the time 10 cases at a time, or it was less than that. It was like $100 worth at a time. Yeah. So I was doing that. And it was, I would walk into a place and it was novel. I was the local barbecue expert in town. It was kind of interesting. We did okay with it for a few years. But anyway, now, how many of these guys walk into every store and they're not happy with that anyway. Dave Raymond tells a great story. his first sales call. Did he tell you
Oh,
this
yeah.
one? He went into butcher shop and said, "You don't want any of this, do you?" That was his pitch.
That was his pitch.
It
Yeah.
worked out pretty good.
I own a grocery store in a butcher shop, and when people come in with their sauces, I explain the same thing. I'm like, look, if you want to bring your sauce in, great, but understand something. I need you here demoing all the time, and most of the time they're like, absolutely, we'll be in there, and they come in 1 or 2 times, and then they wonder how come their sauce isn't selling. Well, because you promised you're going to come in here every weekend, or 2 times a month, and you came in twice in 6 months. It's not going to jump off the shelf. People need to try it.
Right.
You need to put it in their hand. You need to give it to them, let them hold it, have them taste it, and then put it in their basket. That's what has to happen. You have to do that.
And keep doing that. Keep doing
that.
Right. It's not. But again, they all think that the sauce is that good that when one guy tastes it, he's going to tell all his friends, and they're all going to quit buying everything else. I mean, it's just it's unfortunate because I hate that. And so, yeah, my answer to these guys always is it's business. You wouldn't go you fixed your toilet, you're not going to say, shit, I better get in the plumbing business, But because you cooked a good slab of ribs, you figure you better go into barbecue business.
For
I mean,
sure.
it's just not how, you got to think like that. If you don't want to be in business for yourself, if you don't have the right amount of money to start, the food truck thing to me is such a fantasy. I mean, there's success stories.
Sure.
But you ever look on Craigslist for food trucks?
They're everywhere.
Right?
They're out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It just because you think you really want to do this. It's my passion. Okay, great. It's your passion. I believe you. But you also need $100,000.
Sure.
And you need to work your ass off, If you don't have those 2 things, it doesn't matter how much you like it.
Yeah.
One of the things we appreciate is exactly what you're talking about is business. The fact that you and, on behalf of Big Green Egg have come out here to Del Mar, to the Thoroughbred Club, and you came right off the plane, were able to come and sit down, spend time with us behind the smoke. You're going to be able to, we're going to have the cooks meeting here for the KCBS 55 professional teams. We're going to have a Big Green Egg welcome team dinner. Tomorrow, you're going to be putting on live cooking demonstrations, which is totally amazing.
That's a beautiful setup. I mean, it's everything you guys promised is here. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, we're just very, very fortunate to have you out here. The weather is starting to...
It's starting to look like Del Mar. It's starting to feel like Del Mar.
It's starting to feel the...
California's been hot. It's
been
now,
too
is that
hot.
smog or those clouds?
No, that's actually a marine later. That's
okay.
Should be burning off. And but
I
yeah,
was in Seattle, and they said, hey, we're going to have some sun breaks tomorrow. I said, what's that? They said, well, the clouds split a little bit, and a little sun comes out for a half hour.
Jeez,
well, one of the cool things for us is we have a lot of local media that are going to come. They're going to be celebrity judges tomorrow for the tri-tip category, and a lot of them actually have purchased eggs. So
nice.
they're getting into the Big Green Egg media movement, we call it, and all of them are going to come out. I'm sure they're going to love to talk to you. Scott Kaplan from Mighty 1090, I know he's going to do a Q&A with you in the afternoon. And, for Derek and I, we're just so lucky that all these teams are out here. We have teams that drove from Arizona. We have teams that drove from Northern California, local teams that are grateful that we're right in their backyard. And
people from Virginia.
Really?
We just found that out right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Doing our walk.
Surely they didn't drive.
No, two of them. He flew 2 of his buddies out from West Virginia.
Yeah,
that's
unbelievable. Cool. But yeah, stuff like this doesn't happen without great people, and like what we talked about before we started this podcast, Derek and I, we couldn't do any of this if we didn't have our team. We've got Brian and Corey here helping us record the podcast. We have Abby in the trailer, JC, Derek Walls, Bill, Arlie Bragg, the McIntoshes, the Alvarezes, Gene Goycochea. He's out. I mean, Gene's out buying pizza dough for the dinner tonight.
I was wondering where he was. Well, that's
like,
good.
Gene, where'd you go? He's out shopping more. He's out there doing more work. So, for us, we're grateful that you took the time to spend time with us behind the smoke. How can people? How can they find you? Obviously, DrBBQ.com.
Yeah, DrBBQ.com. I mean, you got to give it back too, though. I once heard a radio DJ in Chicago interviewing Sammy Davis Jr. and Sammy said, we're in the same business, man. I just been around a lot longer than you. And that's just how I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not hard to find. On Instagram, I'm real Dr. BBQ. So if you know the guy with Dr. BBQ, tell him to call me. I'd really like to have that, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm not hard to find.
That's an announcement right there. But yeah,
we'll see if he turns up.
Thank you so much for taking the time. And if you're in Southern California and you guys are watching this on Facebook, buy tickets, come out tomorrow. All you can eat event. It's going to be an epic day. We're going to have a blast.
There's a big beer fest. I'll have a beer with you.
Absolutely.
There we go.
I'm not sure I can have a beer with all of you, but I'll try.
Hey guys, this is Sean and Derek, and we just really want to thank you for listening to the podcast. It means the world to us. We'd like you to go check out behindthesmokemedia.com. That's our website where we have barbecue resources for you to help build your barbecue business. We also have events listed, so anything that's happening in the West Coast barbecue movement, anything that's going on, we want you to go check that out so you can learn more and get involved. We also have show notes from all the episodes, so anything we talked about in the episodes, you can find detailed show notes there. Plus, you can just get in touch with us. It's important that we're here as a resource for you, so please reach out. Let us know how Derek and I can help you with your barbecue journey. Get involved, stay curious, and follow us on social at Barbecue War Stories. We'll talk to you soon.